Market Peak with Seth and Matt.
What are you drinking there? All right, let's start the show, and then I'll ask you what you're drinking.
Sure, we can start the show.
I need you have to immediately take another long drought.
I will. Trust me, I need it today. Good Lord. All right, well, welcome everybody. This is Seth and Matt with Market Peak, P-E-E-K. This is Wednesday, April 14th. I have to look at it. I had a long day. We'll talk about it. So subscribe and subscribe over there, like down there. You know, if you want to wait, see how cool we are. I can promise you we're pretty cool. Just saying. But
we're all right.
We're all right. Anyway,
okay.
So we're going to be talking today about corporate America, getting into politics. Interestingly enough, those of you following, especially those of you overseas following American politics, those of you who don't even follow politics, you know what's going on in Georgia with the voting laws. And some corporations have weighed in, and some governments are trying to impose some punishment for those corporations. We'll talk about that. Matt's, of course, going to have his three charts. We're going to talk about the Coinbase IPO. First week of earnings, which is interesting. There's not a lot of first week reports, though, are there? I mean, most of them wait at least a couple weeks,
just
a few weeks. I got you. Just the banks. Okay.
Boring.
Okay. So we're not. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, sure.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
They're kind of boring.
Okay, fair enough. So anyway, we're not financial advisors.
Banks are kind of
None of this is official advice. D or D squared. Talk to your professionals. All that. Leave a comments with any thoughts you have. We comment to all of them. It's not like we get that many. Some more than others, but we reply to all of them. And that's pretty much it. Looking at swaggy stocks, which you have in front of us, you can see Tesla's still up top. Palantir not far behind. Palantir had a pretty good day yesterday. Actually, let me pull it up here.
Trying to break out of that neckline pattern.
It's trying really, really hard. And I'll tell you what, I mean, the problem is, for as well as it did yesterday, it lost almost all of it today. So yesterday, I think it was up 8% or something like that. And then, yesterday it topped out at 26 when it opened up. And then, it just crashed down after that. So, but yesterday, as you can see, it was a really, really good day for Palantir. It's still above, actually. It's actually right at an interesting support line, around 23, 24. Sure. But the neckline pattern, it's still there. It's like someone's doing one of these on the shoulder.
It's going to ride, the short-term trend along with all the other highly bought tech stocks.
Sure. And we'll see. Let's hope so. And GameStop. So GameStop had a pretty good day. For those of you following along, you could see at one point it was up 22%, 23% or something like that. Ended up settling. Let's see here. We're getting the day out here, of course. Ended up settling about 15% or so. After hours, I guess it settled a little bit. At one point, it was actually up to 173, settled at 163. But it had a pretty good day. We've been talking about this, what's going on Friday. It was don't talk about the dates. No dates. I'm like, dude, people, I get it for you hardcore people out there, but we're a stock show April fucking 16th. So we'll see what happens. So DFV put up something on Twitter. It was a poll and didn't ask a question. And it said, sell all, sell some, or exercise all. And people voted on what they thought. And when I last looked, it was about 63% of the people that said sell all.
Look at the yearly chart.
Okay, yearly chart. We got you. Sure.
And look at that wedge pattern.
Okay, sure.
We're kind of approaching the end of.
Okay. I mean, you can kind of do it.
Result and move higher.
From 6 months, you can see it. So
there's result.
Okay.
Yeah. You can go to a smaller time frame and still see it. That kind of a chart pattern normally resolves in a move higher because you can't break through your line of support.
Okay.
And then you get the conviction traders coming in finally at the end of that pattern, at the end of that move, and they buy.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, it's one of those situations where if you are right, we could be seeing a very interesting bounce up. I hope you are right because, like I said, it's not a lot. I got two contracts, and hopefully it does well. If it does, cool, rock on. If not, I didn't lose a tremendous amount of money. But we'll see what happens. I expect it to go up. The question is, does it drop on Monday? And this is something we can talk about on Monday because we're definitely going to talk about this on Friday. Does it drop after that? You know, like, okay, let's say he exercised all or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think the support holds. I think there are a lot of traders out there anticipating a big drop and buying puts. And I think that's always a ripe setup for disappointment. Whenever there seems to be a great trade setup, whenever an outcome seems inevitable, typically that's when people on the other side of that trade had the most leverage. And that's the asymmetric trade. I think we can talk about now with GameStop, us actually not crashing like everyone thinks we will.
Sure.
And look, do I think there could be like a correction afterwards? Absolutely. I mean, why the heck not? Might be healthy.
Yeah.
But do I think we're going to, if we rally hard, do I think we're going to break that support that we built out over the past few months? No, I think game.
Wow, this has never happened, bro. We lost Matt. Good Lord, he left me here all by myself. Yeah, we lost you. Like, you completely cut out for about 10, 15 seconds there. But you just completely, like,
I'm out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, you can tell on the internet.
All right.
Is there any way you could drive a little closer to civilization?
I apparently I was hoping for too much.
Sure.
Setting my expectations too high in this instance.
I think having expectations at all is asking too much.
Yeah, I think it's a path to disaster.
I'm going to have to break out the rest of my sound effects for the drive.
Yeah. What the fuck? Am I going further away from the spot on? Let me see.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, I am going the right way. Okay.
Oh, thank the Lord.
We're almost there.
Good Lord.
Couple minutes.
Thank you. Jesus.
Don't applaud me yet. That one was just kind of like offensive for no reason at all.
There you go. How's that? Is that a little bit more soothing?
A little aggressive. Research Lucas.
There it is.
Research Lucas.
Hell yeah, bro.
Rocky Mountain High.
Yeah.
Bye.
Double entendre.
Colorado.
That John Denver's full of shit, man.
Rocky Mountain High. Bye. I think the next 2 days are going to be breakout days.
So we're just going to do the show while you're driving to your spot where you have internet? Might as well. So why do you think they're going to be breakout days?
Gut
Sure.
speaking.
Sure. We'll see.
What do you think?
It's going to go up. Over the next 2 days, it's definitely going to go up. I feel like the trend continues as more people pile into what's going on with Friday. And at the end of the day, it's really just going to be whether I feel like, I mean, just him posting something, like, obviously it has massive impact. Can the FCC even, like, because all he does is post a picture of what it looks like. So I think if he was to do that again, people can extrapolate what he did or did not do, maybe what he exercised or didn't exercise. Because right now he has to be so ridiculously cryptic, just because the FCC obviously is watching him very, I don't think he's put out any videos. So, but I think it's going to go up, but based on what he possibly posts, I think that's gonna have a major impact. If you see a new call that he places, say he places a call for like $300 or $400, $500, or something like that, obviously that has the ability for it to keep going up a lot more as well. what happens on Monday, it's just going to be really difficult to kind of figure that one out. That's for sure. But you seem to
Yeah.
think that there's longevity after this Friday.
But
Well,
now that I think about it, yes, I think GME heads higher
well, we
too,
did. It did.
along with the market. It trades along with the market,
Sure.
or alongside the market for the next 2 days. Do I think we get two more back-to-back 20% rally days? Honestly, probably.
Yeah.
Do I think if we do, obviously you sell a little bit of your position, takes profit. Yeah. But who knows? We could have a big crash right now. But again, we track the VIX on this show. The VIX is signaling an uptrend, and that's what I think you use in your fundamental analysis of GME when determining off the cuff whether or not you think it's going to continue to head higher.
Sure.
What's the overall market trend doing, and what indicator that's been working for you so far do you follow to determine that?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about it on Friday, of course, just to see where it goes. I expect it to hit $200. If it has a couple more 18, 15, 20% days, and then it will. Hopefully it just jumps up tomorrow. Cash out, this call today. Thank you very much. I feel like that would be quite prudent. It's
you normally get a slightly smaller update following a big dramatic rally such as the one we saw today.
Sure.
GME. Like normally, and Tesla does this all the time.
We'll see.
So I mean,
but it's GameStop. GameStop plays by different rules oftentimes. We'll see though. We'll see. I could have made a little bit of a profit earlier, but I do expect another run. If we get another run tomorrow and I can cash out doubling my money, which I think is very feasible just because of the fact that I could have gotten like 35% earlier today. I think it's a good possibility. If not, I guess we'll see. All right, well, moving right along. So corporate America, you doing okay? You still driving over there?
Yeah, now I'm just driving because I'm exploring. Sorry, I'm just kind of like exploring this area a little bit now.
Okay, sure. Well, you know what? If
economic growth is what I see out here. I won't name the region specifically,
sure.
But a lot of construction out here.
It's in America, folks. Somewhere in America.
Yeah, it's in the state. It's in the States. But yeah,
all right. Corporate America weighs in on Georgia voting laws. I don't know if you guys know, but there have been some CEOs that have actually made statements against what's going on in Georgia, which is severe restriction of voting. In addition to making it illegal to hand people like some food or some water or something while they're waiting in line. This is legit. This is a law that has passed, which is ridiculous. But I think the governor stated that it was only within 150 feet, which is like, does it really make a freaking difference? Like, give me a break. So I feel like you should be able to hand out food to whoever you want, but whatever. Anyway, so James Quincy, Coca-Cola CEO and chairman, expressed disappointment with the legislation's outcome in a statement Thursday. Said the company will continue to work with stakeholders to advocate for change. And you can see part of the article right here. This is NPR, which I'm getting this from. Our focus is now on supporting federal legislation that protects voting access and addresses voter suppression across the country, Coca-Cola CEO said. We all have a duty to protect everyone's right to vote, and we will continue to stand up for what is right in Georgia and across the United States. And the reason that's important is because Coca-Cola is based in Georgia. And so is Delta. Delta's CEO Ed Bastian called the final bill unacceptable, writing in a Wednesday memo to employees the entire rationale for this bill is based on a lie that there was widespread voter fraud in Georgia in the 2020 elections, a claim that has repeatedly been debunked, of course. And this is what he said. After having time to fully understand that in this bill, coupled with discussions with leaders and employees in the Black community, it's evident that the bill includes provisions that will make it harder for any underrepresented voter, particularly Black voters, to exercise their constitutional right and represent themselves, and that is wrong. So, like, dude, Coca-Cola and Delta, both based in Georgia, massive companies, massive power. Most of the time, you're not going to see corporate take a stand with anything at all. It's kind of
Yeah.
big time. Are you surprised that they're taking a stand like this?
I
Because it's kind
think
of
I
like
may
being
be
political.
surprised, but deep down inside, I'm not that surprised. Millennials are more willing to absorb that. They're more brand loyal than people think, and I think that's all playing into it.
Sure. I mean, we'll see what happens. JP Morgan Chase, Facebook, Viacom, CBS, Citigroup, Cisco, and the pharmaceutical company Merck also, stated their willingness to support voter access across, basically like nice way of saying your bill sucks. Even Microsoft President Brad Smith had something to say. But the thing that's interesting about this is Delta. So here it is. It didn't take long for Delta Airlines to feel the heat again. The airlines almost lost $35 million jet fuel tax benefits after Republicans in Georgia General Assembly sought to punish the Atlanta-based company for speaking out against the state's controversial new elections law. So there's still a possibility. It's still got to go through further down the process. There's a possibility that could happen. And that's kind of interesting because that's the backlash that these companies could possibly be faced with if they do decide to take a stand. But clearly Coca-Cola and Delta feel they have more to gain than to lose with something like this, which is exactly what you want with something. You want can you flip your camera, by the way? Give us that beautiful view. Now that you seem to be in your spot. There we go. Look at that,
I think we
folks.
can say safely that people consuming these brand names are possibly a little more like liberal, politically speaking.
Sure.
Have like higher incomes, maybe demographically speaking. Like more progressive.
Okay. Yeah.
In nature, and they're going to bring those viewpoints into their buying decision making process.
Sure.
That's just human nature. We consume what we like and what we want to believe in. So
if Tim Cook,
competition
if Tim Cook says something about it, what Brad Smith, Microsoft president, what he wants is the companies, these companies that have something to say, all come together and they put out a joint statement and all signing it, which I think is a good way to do it. Because that I feel like would be much more impactful than all these other companies coming out and, just spreading the news out. It's like, no, this is what we think and we all support this. I think will be much more impactful.
Yeah.
And concise.
Agreed.
So, all right. Well, the My Pillow guy, he was somebody who was obviously very, very Trump. He got a lot of sales because of that. But obviously the fall from grace from Trump has definitely affected him as well. So, it's one of those things. It's like taking a risk. It's like buying stock in your company, It's you could just completely crash everything. So Coinbase had an IPO, pretty freaking $86 billion opening.
Not too
shabby at all. Can you imagine, dude? 86 billion. That's unbelievable. I didn't expect it to be so high. A lot of people didn't. At one point, it was up to about $424, something like that. Ended up finishing at $328. When it opened, it was at $386. So if you were day trading this, you'd be able to make a little bit of money, which is unusual because most of the time, it comes in, and even with Roblox, it didn't get quite as much. Were you expecting like 86 billion? I mean, that's a pretty big number, right?
So analysts were targeting like that 80 billion to $100 billion range.
Okay.
But like analysts were targeting that in complete disbelief.
Okay.
Like almost, and they were kind of quoting that almost in like they're almost joking, but painfully, no, it wasn't a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, to get it. I feel like if it's going to be riding the crypto, it could just say we're accepting this coin now, and the stock is going to go up, and the coin's going to go up with it. I don't know. So we talked. So one of our quick newses from last week, for Because We Said So, our other show, which we'll link down below for you guys and gals.
Yeah.
But so there's a club here. It's a 24-hour strip club. They're accepting Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin, by the way, and I think Ripple. They're accepting that at the strip club now. So the fact that that's happening like that. And it's interesting because there's a middleman company. So the middleman takes care of all the transactions. And of course, they take their little fraction, whatever it is. It's pretty freaking brilliant model. But stuff like that, I mean, this is definitely something I would expect investing in. The question is, what do you think? Do you feel like, actually, let me pull up the chart here. Do I have it up? Yeah, here we go. So let me pull up the chart here. So what do you think? I mean, right now, 328. Do you expect it to be higher or lower by Friday?
Higher.
Higher? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. We like that.
Are you kidding me?
I don't know, because Roblox kind of sat there for a little bit, finally made a little bit of a move.
Coinbase, though.
Okay.
I like Roblox better than Coinbase.
Sure.
As a company, but Coinbase is a monster. Nothing like it in its class.
Sure.
Nothing. No competitors. Publicly traded right now. No, I mean,
they're
maybe they do have competitors indirectly.
I mean, they do indirectly. I mean, other platforms to a degree, but not as big as that one. Like when you and I were playing the crypto market back in the 2017 boom, and let's face it, eventually a bust. Depending on if you sold or not, because if you didn't sell, obviously we're booming again. But Coinbase was it. That's where you started. You went to Coinbase, you bought your Bitcoin, and then you did whatever you wanted from there.
That was your only on-ramp.
Yeah, pretty much.
Your only on-ramp and your only off-ramp.
Sure.
In many cases.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because what I did was when I wanted to sell some Bitcoin, put into Ethereum, moved everything into Coinbase, and I mean, this was just like 3 months ago. So 100%, I agree. So you think it's going to be up? That's great. Hopefully, if GameStop does a little pop, maybe I'll get some Coinbase. Either way, I'd definitely be looking into that one for sure. So, all right. Well, I guess we'll move it on along. So first week of earnings, what do you got?
Just banks. So banks,
boring.
I guess, that was boring. And banks kind of, do suspicious things.
Sure.
What beer are you drinking?
Oh, well, I just finished. It's a Goose IPA. It's not the most fancy beer out there. We mix it up quite a bit here. What I was drinking last night was the Founders Porterhouse. Dude, I mean, this freaking thing is just rich and chocolatey and delicious. But most of the time, especially living down here in Florida, starting to become summer, I like the brighter beers. Goose IPA is a good, like, solid, like, crispy, not too heavy IPA style beer. And maybe I'll have one more when we're done here.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Okay.
So boring banks.
We're talking about banks. All right. Banks reported higher than estimated earnings per share. They surprised to the upside, quote unquote. I say quote unquote because what had happened is they had actually adjusted this past quarter's earnings to reflect the release of all these COVID crash era reserves.
Okay.
That they had put all this money aside, expecting massive losses and like all these defaults on all these loans that they made to all these small companies
but it didn't happen.
As a result of COVID, but it didn't happen. Yeah. So then they released all that money and, now it hit their books and kind of inflated the numbers a little bit. Goldman Sachs revenue was actually down year over year. But like, what can you expect when interest rates are this low and like banks, like their books are under pressure right now. Interest rates are too low. It's hard for them it's easy for them to make loans. It's hard for them to like market like lines of credit right now because there's inflation, there's supply chain inflation right now. As you alluded to last episode,
sure.
It's hard to get your merchandise in, and that's inflating prices, and that's bad. But again, like I think this is all just overall from a where the market is headed standpoint, just like another another brick in the wall where the market is just going to climb.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, like transport it's a challenge. So the company I work for requires stuff to be shipped in on containers, and getting the containers is not easy. Comes in here. I'm in Miami. Comes into Miami, but the problem is now you need to find someone who drives a truck to bring the container, which is a full semi, over, and that's a challenge in and of itself. So shipping is just astronomically expensive right now for a lot of reasons.
Crazy.
Sure is. So first week of earnings, boring old banks, but it's gonna get a lot of hoo-ha moving forward. We'll look to some.
But
Go ahead.
yeah, overall, as far as the judgment is concerned, like the banks did, like they held it up.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
looking
they
at
held
the
up
yearly
market.
chart, good
I
lord.
mean, like they could have, we could have crashed. We could have had more losses on the book as a result of that hedge fund blow up.
Sure,
That's
sure.
what a lot of analysts were anticipating, but they would have announced it.
Yeah,
Even at quarterly earnings, like you can announce that like that kind of stuff, like at the end of year earnings, which a lot of companies like to do. But like losses that big, you need to report immediately, and they didn't, which tells me that the biggest banks, the prime dealer brokers involved in this,
sure.
are okay
Yeah,
and are solvent enough.
I mean, it's we got to give it to them. They had a lot of help. Government hooked it up, but it's nice to know the system works. And this
Well, also, you had regulation in Dodd-Frank, like back in the day, like actually creating like capital loan reserve requirements and like, putting into place like small barriers so that like when the floodgates came down, like, the water like took its time
Yeah.
and like you were able to deal with it,
sure.
instead
Sure.
of just drowning immediately. And that's we're seeing the fruit of that labor.
Yeah, and
I think in the stability of today's markets.
and that's the good thing about when stuff like this happens, and having gone through what we all went through last year. I'm sure there's going to be other regulations that get put into place to further strengthen based on what they learn through this. And that's the good thing about it all. Every time something like this happens, they'll figure out a way to further strengthen the recovery or obviously minimize the losses.
Can I say one thing really quickly,
sure.
Seth? One thing. So like I know we kind of like had like a little negative note there when talking about like inflation, like supply chain inflation, and that's like kind of like a headwind for like businesses to like take out loans because like they don't know how much money that they're afraid they're going to pay too much money for supplies, raw materials,
Yep.
and like transport. Like they don't want to get started, and like but like the good thing is like because labor shortage is so severe right now, and it really is. I don't know if like everyone's been following this story, but like you have a severe and like construction, retail labor shortage. Wage inflation is expected to pick up like dramatically,
Okay.
actually, and outpace technology, like the pressure technology puts on wages.
Sure.
Wage growth,
Like
and
robotics and stuff like that.
yeah, and automation is actually occurring like slower than like people like
Because it's
like
expensive. The technology's there, but it's not cheap.
exactly. Like it's not cheap, and you get the government's eye on you when you like get too big and have too much leverage like that.
Sure. Look at Jack Ma. Good Lord. China came in and said, "What, bitch?" And now they're changing all kinds of laws to make sure they're changing laws to make sure that what he's doing can never happen again. They're not, you're not more powerful than China there, buddy. And that's, and it's a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame that he can't be like an Elon Musk and have Tesla and like it's a shame. And that's why people love this country, because do it. Just don't buy everything up, because then you have monopoly issues. That's all.
Yeah, so. And even if you do, like we're really not going to do too much about it, because like you're a $2 trillion company, and like we sort of need that because there's no other $2 trillion companies in the world.
That's true.
Like no,
Dude,
like we own
wait till
like not
Apple
many one
comes
trillion
out with
dollar
a
companies.
car, dude. When Apple's car comes out,
Oh my god!
dude,
Oh my god!
dude, they're gonna hit 5 trillion like in a matter of like years, a few years after that. If they don't like, dude, forget it.
$10 trillion
Oh, what if they
company.
got Watt in there somehow? Like wireless charging in your
You know
freaking
what's
car?
going in. You
Wireless
know there's
charging
something
in your
there.
car, bro.
You were talking about that like like years ago,
Yeah.
like over a year
Yeah.
ago, easily.
Sure. Sure. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, it's time for everyone's favorite segment, Three Charts with Matt. And I'll go ahead and pull out the month because actually I haven't even looked recently. Okay. Okay. 17, you anticipated a spike. You got the spike. Um, and you anticipate, I mean, it wasn't that big of a spike, really. It went up like
I still
almost
think
18. Go ahead.
I'm still hoping the odds of us going down to 14 are very low right now, but I still think we could make it like not all the way at 14. I'm thinking like 14 something, like 14 above 14 spot five.
Sure.
I think is where we can make it by Friday. I'm hoping.
I expected
Um,
15.5 by Friday. We'll see.
I think you might be more right there, but because we might have hit 15.5 at one point today.
Sure.
I don't know if it's showing that in the charts.
15.5.
Probably not all the way
Let me
down there,
pull
but
up
we might
the.
have.
We actually dipped. Now the dip was down to 15.4 actually.
Okay,
So we like
and we
you
had a
know
reaction bounce
sure
there. We could
kissed it.
have maybe that was the bounce. Maybe we had higher here, have a little bit of a pullback, but I don't know. Like I think the market goes higher from here. Personally, I could be completely wrong, obviously, but I think we go higher. I think bank earnings were like the big what if this week. We're past that, and if we do get a sell off, it'll all just be technically driven because we're too far above our moving averages. The IWM, most interestingly enough, I guess that's the second chart. We have recaptured the 20-day moving average. We're closed above it. And it looks like we're gonna like head up, in my opinion, over the next 2 days to retest the former 52-week high.
Sure. Sure.
And that's a big move. Like I got easily be wrong here. That's a big move, but then we can do it.
It's just been fun to watch because I invest in a lot of the companies that fall into this small cap, even micro cap, which is below this, but it still has similar trend, even though it's probably a lot more volatile. But I can really see it doing well. And here's the thing, like just jumping back real fast because we're talking about markets moving up and stuff like that. Jumping back to the whole shipping thing. The company I work for is a supplier for a lot of entities out there. And we focus mainly on, Florida right now. But what's interesting is there are a lot of competitors that just can't keep up with, like, they just can't get the products. And so because of that fact, our company is doing well because we can. I'm not going to get into it much more than that. But my point is, there's a lot of movement out there, and people cannot, the shipping, the production cannot keep up with the demand. And so once the shipping and the production, I'm talking across all industries, once the shipping and production can keep up with demand, I mean, I'm probably across the world. I feel like here in Miami is a microcosm of what's happening in a lot of major cities, if not definitely, beach cities. But once that catches up, the shipping and all the production and all that, sales are just going to, everything, all economies are going to start going crazy. Let's take the microchip shortage that's affecting Xbox and PlayStation and cars. Yeah. I think it was Chevy, one of the major car companies here in America, had to slow down production because they couldn't get the chips for the cars. Like, once the chip makers, like just across all industries, I feel like as things start to ramp up and these people can make enough product and ship enough product, right now they cannot make and ship enough product to keep up with the demand in the world. So, that requires hiring more people, which puts more, money into the people that spend it into the communities. That requires, obviously maybe some investments. Like, we can't keep up with demand, invest some money. Like Hertz, dude. Hertz and like all those companies. I don't know about Hertz because they're the ones who went bankrupt. But I'm pretty sure these car companies that had to sell off their fleet to pay the bills because nobody's renting cars like in airports and stuff like that. They can't keep up with demand because they don't have enough cars. And if they don't have enough cars, that means they got to buy cars, which means the production, the people making the cars need to make, you know what I'm saying? So,
and they're paying a higher price for their cars.
100%. Yeah. I just feel like this is something that can snowball, and markets across the world, I feel like are in for a pretty big rise.
Well, here's the other thing. So like people are afraid of monetary inflation, the dollar's buying power being like hurt by all this borrowing. But when you get inflation, you get people a little less willing to spend money when it stretches a little less than it once did. And that in itself is disinflationary.
Sure.
Because when they spend less money, they keep more money out of the
circulation.
Supply of money. They borrow less. Yeah. And that's how money's actually created. It's lended into existence by the banks.
Which is what we've been doing for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. And oh, by the way, the Federal Reserve printing press, all they're doing is they're printing bank loan reserves that they give to the banks. And that offsets the bank's own capital loan reserve requirements, meaning the Fed is guaranteeing that, to a certain extent, the bank's loans, so the bank doesn't have to save as much money, so that they can survive a default on the loan that they're taking out, basically.
Which is why these banks were able to stay afloat.
Yeah,
and do so
which is also why this printing isn't super inflationary, because that those bank loan reserves the Fed is quote unquote printing can't be spent.
Sure.
They're just there.
Yeah. Just
and
reserves.
What needs to happen? People need to borrow money. Yeah, they're just reserves. So that's why we're not getting all this rapid expansion in money supply, which would be inflationary and bad.
Yeah.
We're this weird balance.
But also when the dollar drops, that makes people want to buy our products more because our products all of a sudden become cheaper.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really, I don't know. I mean, inflation, eventually there's going to be something, but I feel like it's going to be, severely tempered with, the GDP going up. They're projecting 6%. It's really hard to have inflation when you're just, creating so much revenue and so much wealth as a nation. And that obviously would be the restaurants coming back and, of course, the businesses and stuff like that as well. So, All right. So USO, it's your last one.
Oil.
I know.
Oil.
It's the last one, folks.
Oil.
So oil's
all right.
Doing okay.
So we all believe in this big explosion in growth and demand. Looks like it's happening right now. And it'd be logical to assume that there is a play in oil. I can tell you that in the region I live in right now and work in, there are a lot of derricks going up. There are a lot of there's work now in the oil industry, and there hasn't been as of the past few years.
Sure.
So that tells me that right here, and I could just be extrapolating too much, obviously, but it tells me that the oil producers, extractors are anticipating a big spike in demand.
Yeah.
And which is why they're ramping up. They're trying.
It's going to happen. Airlines, cruise lines. I mean, shipping uses more oil than airlines and cruise. It's just immense amounts of oil. Oh, dude. It's a shame we don't have research Lucas, because he could look that up for us anyway.
Yeah. Well, get him off the show.
I know, right? That'd be funny. Hey, Lucas. Anyway, go ahead. USO. I expect USO to do well. Actually, let's look up Fang, which is Diamondback. They were in the 80s last time, low 80s. All right, they're still there. So, what's the other one? Oxy. That was in around, I think, 23. Okay, 25. So yeah, I mean, yeah. But oil is one of those. The thing is, it's going to become more scarce, and as it becomes more scarce, it's going to be that's exactly it. People are going to stop using it.
More scarce no matter what.
People are going to stop using it slowly but surely, and which means less companies pulling it out of the ground, which means less gas stations, which means less, which is still going to create scarcity, even if the scarcity of the oil itself isn't going to be as bad. So either way, it's going to be one of those situations where it's going to go up because you're not going to be able to get it as easily and as readily.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. I was going to say something else, but yeah.
Okay. Boom. Nailed it.
I think that's the macro argument.
Nailed it.
That's the main argument for oil.
That's right. Thank you. I'm just kidding. All right. So I guess that's pretty much it. So predictions, close. So the VIX, once again, where do you think we're going to be on Friday? We're at 17.0.
This is going to be completely wrong, but I'm still going to stand by 14, spot 5. It's going to be wrong.
Okay.
I'm going to be wrong.
Okay. So GameStop, where do you expect GameStop to be? It's at 166.53.
Probably by Friday, it'll probably close like right around here. I think it'll open up higher.
Okay.
I think it'll open up higher tomorrow.
Sure.
Open up higher Friday. And then we'll have a dip going into Friday.
So you expect it to be lower?
Lower from here?
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think it'll be right around there.
That's not what we want to hear, man. That's all right. Like I said, I expect it to hit 200. Let's hope so. If not, no big deal. If there's a spike tomorrow, though, I am gonna sell it. I could have gotten it. Like I said, 30% profit earlier today, just on the volatility and all that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how right we were. GameStop will be an interesting litmus test to our failures.
We have been kind of calling for a small cap drop. We have been kind of saying insane things recently.
Sure.
But they're kind of coming true, maybe.
Yeah, it depends on how long you want to stretch the window of success. If we're giving ourselves a few months, absolutely. Give ourselves a few weeks. All right. Well, please leave a comment with your thoughts. Email us at wearemarketpeak@gmail.com. Once we hit 1,000, I feel like I'll have to officially have some sort of we'll have to have some sort of website. So 1,000 subscribers. So for now, we're sticking with Gmail. Check out our other show. Nice. So because we said so, as you can see here, it's a really, really cool show. You have to check it out. We get a lot of listens. So if you like to listen to podcasts, it is in podcast form. This one, Market Peak, is just in video. But anyway, any last minute thoughts over there?
Ride the trend until it stops moving.
Okay. Sound advice, folks, whatever that means. So jump on the train until it stops moving. Okay. All right.
Then you can safely dismantle it.
Sure. Fair enough. All right. Well, I guess that's it. We will see you guys on Saturday. Boom.